The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, and welcome to Top Strategies to Attract and Retain Finance and Accounting Talent, a panel discussion brought to you by the Controllers Council. My name is Lindy Antonelli, partner in our technology practice at Armanino. We're a top 20 accounting and tech consulting firm, and I'm also the board chair of the Controllers Council. Before I introduce our panel experts and our partner sponsor, let me share some brief housekeeping items. We will have Q&A at the end of the presentation, so please use your GoToWebinar control panel to ask our experts your questions. Next, this webinar is CPE eligible with 4 polling questions. So please answer each poll for CPA, and that will also benchmark your peers. And regarding CPE, you will receive a brief survey directly after the webcast, so please complete that. And finally, you'll get a link to this webcast within the next 24 hours or so. So no need for notes or screenshots. Now, a word about our partner and sponsor, Bill. Go to the next slide. Bill is a leading financial operations platform for small and mid-sized businesses. Bill automates the future of finance so businesses can thrive. Bill's integrated platform helps businesses to more efficiently control payables, receivables, spend, and expense management. Hundreds of thousands of businesses rely on Bill's proprietary member network of millions to pay or get paid faster. HQ'd in San Jose, California, Bill is a trusted partner of leading U.S. financial institutions, accounting firms, and accounting software providers. For more information, visit bill.com. Now, for our panelists. Okay. First, I'll introduce Joy. Joy Mbanugo is the Chief Financial Officer of ServiceRocket, a Palo Alto-based technology services firm. Her 20-year career includes working in the controllership office at Google, where she managed $1 billion in cash, FP&A at BlackRock, and a 12-year tenure at EY. Joy is also a private investor and limited partner in various funds, including women-led ventures. Joy holds a Juris Doctorate from Cleveland State, a Master of Accountancy from Case Western Reserve, and a double bachelor's degree in accountancy and Black World Studies from Miami University of Ohio. Hi, Joy, and welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Thanks. Brandt Kucharski is next up. He's Chief Accounting Officer at Austin-based Ethos Life, a tech startup disrupting the life insurance industry. Brandt was the former Chief Accounting Officer of Grubhub, where he helped raise 5 rounds of capital before a successful IPO, and an 8-year veteran of Crow as a CPA. Brandt is active on several boards, including Chairman Emeritus for the Holiday Heroes Foundation, a nonprofit for hospitalized children. Brandt earned a Master of Accountancy and Bachelor of Accounting from Northern Illinois University, where he's a board member for the accounting department. Brandt won the Controllers Council 2020 National Controller of the Year and is on the Controllers Council Board of Advisors. Welcome, Brandt. Thanks for
having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, glad you both are here. Now, let's go right on to our panel questions, starting with some background for both of you. So our first question, tell us about your finance and accounting F&A, we're dubbing that, organization structure. Joy, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so my team is dispersed throughout the world. I just want to preface that first because I think it will help with some of the other questions about remote hybrid workforce. So I have workforce planning, payroll, controllership, FP&A, and people reporting into me. I know we're only talking about finance and accounting, but that's an interest that'll become relevant later. Mm-hmm. I have folks in Malaysia, Philippines, Sydney, which is where the company was originally founded, Palo Alto, Chile, and El Salvador. So I have to go, I gotta go around the world so I don't forget anyone. So I have a pretty dispersed team throughout the world. And I literally have one employee here, and I may be picking up the sales revenue team. So about right now 16 people, 16 people purely finance and accounting, 2 revenue operations, sales ops, if you want to call it that. And then I think about 6 or 7 from the people team.
Wow. Got to find a common time zone in there, I guess.
There isn't one. We make it work though. We make it work.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Brandt, why don't you tell us about your finance and accounting org structure at Ethos?
Well, our team is pretty lean. I think our total accounting team is probably 8 or 9 people. We raised $500 million. We're on a path to potentially go public one day. We're excited there. My team at Grubhub is about 50 people on the accounting side, probably 15 entities. It's a public company. We had different roles there with SEC reporting and a little bit more tax as well as positions. But I generally like keeping things pretty lean. I have a director of accounting, senior manager of accounting, a couple of senior accountants, a couple staff, really solid director of revenue, and then a senior accountant of revenue. So pretty lean. Our finance department probably has 8 or 9 heads who are focused on different areas of P&L, from business intelligence to sales to marketing, some different overall aspects. But we all work together pretty closely.
Great. All right. So next sort of backgrounder, Brandt, I'll have you keep going here, is I know some of you are remote anyway, but do you have a hybrid, or is it pure remote? And are you outsourcing anything?
We are, we're a remote first company. We have an office in San Francisco that people go into optionally, once a week, but we're all kind of around the country, but probably a little heavier San Francisco influence on that. From an accounting standpoint, I'm very strong on outsourcing anything that's not a core competency, right? So I outsource stock compensation expense. I outsource my tax. I outsource all my system implementation work. If there's something that's really nuanced, I will outsource that too regarding that. And to really just free up my team to really kind of focus on what they need to do, and then I can kind of handle the outsourcing. And I always feel it's stronger to deal with an expert who does stock comp valuation for a living versus trying to bring that in-house and spend time and resources when I can outsource that for a nominal fee and deal with one of the world's experts.
Great, Brandt. Joy, how do you feel about outsourcing, or how does that work at your company?
Yeah, so similar to Brandt, we outsource like a lot of our tax function, just because most of the tax team sits outside of the US, and just because of our tax structure, like it just wouldn't even, like it wouldn't make sense for us to try to do it, because we have entities all over the world, and whoever we would hire, no offense to anyone, would be super expensive. I'm a former tax nerd, and I know how much I used to bill at EY, and it was quite a bit. So we outsource that function. I also just recently lost 2 people on my team, which has been hard, but instead of backfilling them just to preserve cash and just to manage expenses, there's some portion of our FP&A work that we'll probably outsource. And looking more towards the future as we continue to grow. It's a privately held company, but we're growing pretty rapidly over the last couple of years, just with a couple of large transactions, a big IP sale 2 years ago. I likely have more functions that I'll need to outsource. From an accounting system standpoint, what's interesting is that we purchased a while ago, before I joined the company, purchased a NetSuite business. So we have like in-house NetSuite experts, and so some of them do internal projects, and a lot of it is for the finance and accounting teams.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that is a little bit unique. Great. Yeah. Well, thank you both for the backgrounder info. I would like to go to the polling question, the first one. Again, we have 4 that we need for the CPE. So here's the question. My company is experiencing shortages of CPAs and/or finance and accounting talent, the title of our panel discussion. So go ahead. Neil is running the poll here. He's our executive director. So he will wait just a minute and give us a few seconds to have everybody answer the polling question.
Again, Neil here. Please use the GoToWebinar control panel to answer the polls and give you easy multiple choice here. So they're coming in fast and furious.
Great. And Neil, just let us know when the polling is complete. We like to get 70 to 80% response rates. So
yeah,
and that does tie
for
to your
CPE,
CPA.
you only need 3 of 4. So so we don't have to, if you miss one, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here we are. So agreeing is the majority. So what? That's a 70% or more. So great. Well, that's why we're here today, is to talk about the talent shortage. So I'm going to turn it back over to our panelists. And, Joy, what is your perspective on CPA and or in corporate F&A shortages? You did mention that you've recently lost 2 people. So
Yeah.
How does that play into what your plans are and goals? You said you were going to save the cash and maybe outsource, but what do you think is going to play there?
A little. So I have a couple of thoughts on this. One, immediate, like near term, we'll outsource some of the work just because we need help immediately. I'm one of the other people. So we have someone leave on the FP&A team, and then I also had somebody leave on the AP team, which is a huge hit to the team because they were the AP person. And yeah, you could say that's the easy thing to outsource, but you also have to know our systems, and it just takes a while. So we'll likely outsource that while we try to look for backfill. Just the way the company has been built with hiring staff outside of the US, like these roles will likely sit outside of the US, won't need to be a CPA. Will they need to have an accounting background? Yes, but accounting, finance, or some type of business background and some accounting or finance experience is important. And so one way I think some companies are dealing with the shortages just by hiring outside of the US and maybe doing some automation. I'm not going to say, I think there's a question later about can you rely on AI for everything or just completely outsource? I don't think you can outsource everything to AI. I think there are great tools that are being developed. I was at an accounting conference last week and there's a gentleman talking about we have a fully automated AP tool, but it still needs oversight, right? So you would still need somebody to, pay attention to the reports, audit what you get back from the system. So I'm looking at a couple of different things. One, hiring outside of the US and looking at contractors, and those contractors will likely be outside of the US in automation.
Well, the world is literally your oyster. And
yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So you've got a lot of talent to pick from, potentially.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah. Brandt, at Ethos, how does, are you experiencing shortages? I know you're a lean team anyway, but, are you seeing a talent shortage?
A couple thoughts. I think the real shortage, number one, is on accounting graduates, right? And people going to the accounting profession. I was doing a podcast with a well-known accounting influencer, Blake Oliver, probably about a month ago. And, the statistics are that 20% fewer students are going to accounting, right? I think there's a couple things. One, having the 5 years to graduate is getting expensive for a lot of students. I think it turns them off, right? And then I think, two, there's a perception that accounting is not exciting, and there's more exciting majors to go into, which I would strongly disagree. It's very exciting. So, the first step for a lot of students is to go into public accounting, right? They get their major, and the accounting firms are very, very short, right? And, if you just look at and talk to a lot of the Big Four audit partners, they're losing talent at a higher level, in my opinion, than previous years. And then, it's hard to replace that talent, right? Very hard. They don't have as large of incoming, students or population to select from. And, it makes it a little more challenging when the audit team is always you on the client, right? And, I'm not sure how Armanino is facing that. Maybe they're not. It's a little bit different, but, I think they're seeing that. And then I think for my team, right, in 22 and maybe a little bit of 23, ultra competitive with some people leaving, getting better offers. But I think right now you see a lot of the the pre-IPO companies and Google, Facebook, and other companies having layoffs, right? So I think, last year for us, we've probably seen a lot of retention and not a lot of people going because we compensate well. We're on the path to go public, so I think that's exciting. But, companies just aren't hiring. And, a lot of times you'd be competing against Google and Facebook and Uber and Amazon for accounting roles. And, they've seemed to really just kind of shut the hiring avenue down, which means there's less competition, at least for those type companies. And, generally the people who are interested in a startup or a company that's scaling rapidly are a lot of the same companies that are in San Francisco. And if they're not hiring, then, kind of limits the people looking for positions.
Yep, true. Well, I know at Armanino, we are seeing talent shortages. I mean, as a public accounting firm, but even on our consulting side, we're seeing the challenges too. But recently, Armanino just announced we have a wholly owned subsidiary now that is based in India. So we are over there, and we're building that office out now. But the gentleman that's running that has done this before. So he's, it's pretty cool that we're doing that. And we just decided to branch out and go over there and keep our talent up and keep, rates better for our clients as well, really. So we're seeing the shortage. Mm-hmm.
I want to add something that Brandt said I think is important. One of the things that maybe, I don't want to say older because I don't want to age us, but some of the older folks from accounting haven't done is showing like the different paths that you can take in your career as an accountant. I think when I was at EY, I probably only thought about at that time, right, like in my early 20s, that the not the only job that I could have, but one of the only jobs I could take was becoming a partner. And like Brandt said, like not everyone wants to become a partner now. Mm-hmm. And just looking at some of the turmoil happening with the firms, like it just may not be as attractive as it used to be. But there are other cool jobs like Brandt's job. Maybe you want to be a CFO. I don't know. There are other paths that I think students can take. And I don't want to say it's our responsibility, but the profession should show the other paths that you can take. You don't just have to be a partner at one of the accounting firms. That's one path that you could take. There are multiple paths. And
yeah, there are so many paths.
Yeah, we just need to highlight that.
Yeah, I actually, just a little sidebar, I went to University of Missouri in Columbia, Midwest girl, and my son and daughter both went there as well. But for 7 years in a row when they were there, I was speaking in front of the business fraternity to the future finance and accounting people as their sophomore and junior years in college about my career path and how, I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in college, but I knew if I got a job in accounting somewhere, I'd be able to live anywhere I wanted really and do anything. And, I ended up 2 years out of school, starting my own company and growing that. That's when I first met Brandt, actually, about 15 years ago. And then 12 years ago, merged in with Armanino to run, our technology consulting practice. So yeah, you can take this accounting career anywhere, really. So
and Lindy, don't forget to say that you started in public accounting too with the CPA.
Well, yeah, I started in